Dean, we know the batting was the problem. How confident are you that, given South Africa's domestic structure and the lack of Test cricket, for instance, that you can fix it? Where do you go to fix the batting if domestic cricket isn't strong enough to, give us Test players?
It's a good question there, Telford. Yeah, I think I always bank on experience. I know we don't have that at the Test level. So my next best thing is, who do we have with experience in first class cricket back home? Is that the right solution? We don't know yet. We still got a few months before our next series, and we've only got a handful of 4-day games at home before we leave to Australia. So yeah, that's kind of the way that I'm gonna word it going home. It's a tough thing now because the guys have to learn the toughest format without not a lot of experienced heads around them, which is always something we were aware of because of the amount of guys we had retire back to back. But again, those are the cards we've dealt with, and we've got to find a way to try and ease the blow for us. Coming to England, you're always going to be exposed to tough conditions if the weather's on the bowler side, and if the wicket's a little bit sporty, you're always going to be exposed with their bowling attack. You'll be exposed with any bowling attack. So yeah, that's a tough one, but yeah, I'm looking for experienced heads now. From a first class point of view, guys that have really scored a lot of runs back home, and yeah, trying to find means with that kind of thinking.
But, Dean, would you say the conditions or the bowlers or the lack of experience challenge the batters more, and can you sort of grade how difficult each of those were?
I think lack of experience and the lack of exposure to Test cricket, the lack of exposure to UK conditions with the ball swinging and nipping. We were also exposed to the toughest batting conditions throughout this Test, especially, where the ball was nipping quite a lot, up there with some of them. Yeah, it was up there with really tough conditions even for myself, and I've got relatively decent amount of experience. So I can only imagine how the guy who's only got 1 or 2 tests on his belt must feel. But yeah, it was tough all around. I can't remember the 3 things that you want me to put into place there. But I think the lack of experience and the lack of exposure to those kind of situations kind of work hand in hand.
Julia,
yeah. Dean, just as an experienced Test player, how hard is it now with the way schedules are? I mean, that's sort of 11 days without the warm-up game, the guys you brought in for this match haven't played for weeks on end. I mean, I know players, none of you want to spend too much time away from home, but on the other hand, do you feel the way things are set up for touring teams around the world actually give them the best chance now?
Looking back at having that period off, I reckon we could have cracked on with the 3rd Test and been home already. So maybe that's something to look into going forward. I know they always like to have 2 tests and then a decent break and then play the last one, but bearing in mind you can't plan for 3-day Test matches, which actually happened. So you actually had essentially 4 days of recovery because you didn't play the rest of those tests. So yeah, it was quite a long period, I thought, and I honestly felt maybe 4 days or 5 days was enough, and then we could have cracked on with the 3rd Test. Yeah, I guess that's something to look at going forward.
You said before this it was like a World Cup final for you. Now that's come and gone, and that series in Australia, I guess that must be shaping up as an entire World Cup final with that World Test Championship still there.
I think that was always going to be a big series going forward. Yeah, another tough series away from home against Australia. It's never easy going over there. But yeah, another exciting chapter for us to experience and be exposed to. Again, we working towards a common goal, and that goal is hopefully next year June. But again, we need to put a lot of emphasis going forward into this next series. I wouldn't necessarily say it's going to be, the series is going to be one big World Cup final, but every test match is something that you have to live and die for, basically. So the 3 test match series against Australia, every game is going to be huge. It's big for us because we've been playing good cricket and we've also been playing pretty average cricket as a squad, and we need to get that balance right as well. And that's yet another opportunity for us to try and correct our wrongs and trying to get our balance of cricket better going forward, to make sure come say June, if we're in a very good position, that we can capitalise on that one-off game. Yeah, those tests are big. We've got 5 massive tests before June. Even our series against West Indies, you can't take that lightly. You still have to play a test match like it's your last. Yeah, I just need the guys to have that mentality going forward as well. I need to think like that as well going forward. I'm not saying they don't think like that, but I'm just saying from a conscious point of view, that's how you need to kind of approach every game going forward now.
Has your opinion of Baz Ball and this attacking approach changed?
No comment here. I said I'm not speaking about that.
With England's attacking approach?
I actually thought they played relatively good test cricket. I didn't think they played extraordinary cricket. I thought they played the correct tempo, and when their tail was up, they were striking when they had to strike. But that's just general good awareness of test cricket. I didn't think it was out of the ordinary. When their tail was up, they seeked a moment and they went for it. So I didn't think they played ultra aggressive cricket. I just think they played a really good tempo of cricket, something that you can manage and control when you're ahead of the game. So I didn't see that B word at all coming through, or I really felt they controlled it well, and they played what the game deserved at that point in time. And this is throughout the whole series, especially the second and third tests, obviously, which they played really good cricket in. So yeah, I think they played pretty accurate test cricket going for the rest of the series.
Cool. We're going to take last round of questions now, Junior.
Yes. Can I just ask, Marco Ganson's a pretty inexperienced guy at this level, and he's had a big impact in the games he's played, both with bat and ball. I just wondered what you made of his performances this trip.
Yeah, massive talent. Also very young, inexperienced, but I think he's got a different mentality of the way he approaches the game, which is nice to have around.
When you say different mentality, what do you mean exactly?
Well, just seeing the way he plays the game, he's got 2 bites at the cherry, being all rounder as well. So if the one discipline lets him down, he knows he can sort it out with the other discipline. But I do think he approaches the game a little bit more with a positive mindset. He's also got no baggage. He's got no cobwebs in his closet. So he's pretty raw, and he's never really been hurt or failed yet at a young age. So he can play with that open mindset and positive mindset. So yeah, it's nice to have him around the change room and just listening to his views. Sometimes he's very quiet in that space, but he's got some interesting ideas sometimes, which can work for him very well. But yeah, I think he's got a really open mindset when it comes to playing the game.
Good, we'll wrap up with those.
What can you tell us about the actual resources now? Like Aiden's been dropped, Rassie obviously got injured, and the 2 that came in, I suppose it would be unfair to judge them on this test match, but who is kind of putting their hands up, and what's the future for Aiden and Rassie?
Well, it's unfortunate Rassie got injured. I'd like to think that he would have still had a crack in this test. It's a tough one when the guys aren't getting numbers on the board for you, and you still have a good fighting spirit around that. Sooner or later, your resources are going to be depleted, and we're going to have to look elsewhere. I think we did the right thing for this test match. We had to use our resources that we had. Something different, something new. Maybe they come out and smash at 80, 100. You don't know if you don't give them a try. But I think Aiden's still got a bright future in Test cricket. He just needs to get numbers behind him, behind his belt, and go back to the drawing board. He's still too young and too talented not to be playing this level of cricket. And I know he's still very hungry to play this format. But it's about getting runs, and that's our currency as batters. That's your runs is what speaks volumes for you. So he has to when he gets those opportunities to potentially play a 4-day game or whatever the case is, he's got to nail it like he's done in the past when he was left out and he went back home and he nailed 4-day cricket and he scored a lot of runs and he got his opportunity again. But again, he's still too young, too talented not to be playing in this level.